Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome to vlog number 9. So I think with this one, we're kind of gonna just run you through a quick little fun story of how I ended up with my Subaru STI, because it was a little bit of a journey to end up with that car, but you know, things happen for a reason, and hopefully I don't oversimplify it. We'll see what I end up saying, but yeah, we'll run you through the quick little story of how it should go. So, real quick before I leave you guys here, let me go ahead and show you guys the dogs. Hey, so what are you doing, girl? What are you doing, crazy girl? There's Mac. He sees another dog across the road, so we'll go ahead and move out of that little side of the street. But yeah, so we'll see kind of where I end up taking this video, but I'll see you guys after the sequence, so have a good one.
Oh my God, I'm just playing wild. What she saying, say it loud, yeah. I can't respect it, I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing. Came from a Ford, I'm needing a Lexus. Shooting like Luke, I told him I'm next, shit. Oh my God, I'm just playing with him now, yeah. Oh my God, what she saying, say it loud, yeah. I can't respect it, I'm in the gym, but I am not flexing.
Alright, and we're back. So let me go ahead and kind of give you guys the story of how I ended up with this car. So pretty much it all starts back in 2020, and back then I was driving around in a Ford Fiesta ST, and pretty much what ended up happening is I met up with a couple buddies and we tried to drive up to the top of Mount Wilson over at Angeles Crest Highway. And so on the drive up there, pretty much we ended up, very interesting, we got a flock of birds flying by, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a bunch of birds. Anyways, so we ended up trying to drive up to the top of Mount Wilson here, and so when we ended up doing that, what ended up happening is halfway through the drive, I ended up blowing up my engine on that Fiesta, and pretty much it was pretty much all self-inflicted. What ended up happening was I was, pushing the car really hard, and I wasn't really paying attention to the coolant gauge, and I ran that engine to I want to say like around 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not good, and I ended up detonating on one of the pistons and it just blew up. So I was really only running on 3 cylinders, but I did not let that stop us. We still ended up going to the top. I just parked it on the side of the road and then I drove to the top, and we enjoyed the sunset anyways, but knowing that I had to get a new engine at the end of the day, so I got the new engine, installed it into the car, and at that point I knew that it was time for me to sell it. And I wish I didn't, because I really like the car. Now that, like, looking back at it, knowing what I know now about engines and everything and what I messed up there, I'll definitely probably circle back to that car at some point, so stay tuned for the Fiesta videos in the future. But for now, blew the motor, got tired of the platform, ended up selling the car. And when I sold the car, used the money that I got from that car as a down payment for the STI. But it wasn't as simple as me just choosing an STI at that point. So once I sold the car, I was kind of cross shopping a little bit, and at the time I was really looking into the WRX. So I went and I test drove a WRX, a 2015, just WRX, not STI, and I ended up really liking it. It felt a lot like the Fiesta ST, had electric steering, the shifting felt similar. It just felt like an all-wheel drive Fiesta ST that had a little bit more space, and I really liked that. And I was about to pull that trigger, and I was gonna pull it, and it was a guy on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp or Craigslist, one of the platforms. But pretty much we agreed to meet on Monday, and he was gonna transfer his payments that he had left on that car to me, pretty much, and I was just gonna take over wherever he left off. So it was gonna end up being a pretty decent deal, and I just had to kind of take over the payments, and I was fine with that. But he ended up ghosting me. He ghosted me, and I didn't end up getting that car. It was great like this one. just a WRX pretty much, and I was really excited about it. A little bummed that he ghosted me, but with that being said, it gave me more time to really kind of make a solid decision. And so from there, I was like, you know what, I just need to test drive an STI just to see what it's like and see if that's even the platform that I really want to get into. I knew that there was a price difference. I didn't really understand it at the time. I didn't really buy into the hype, and I feel like most people don't until you drive one. But I went and I found a dealership that had one that was used and that was willing to let me test drive the car just to kind of see if I even liked the car or the platform to begin with. And so I ended up going to a local town in Monte, here locally, and I found a used car dealership that had one. It was a white, I think it was like a 2017, and I test drove it, and then that's when I really realized that they're two completely different platforms. The steering right off the rip, I felt everything that the steering wheel was telling me, and then shifting through the gears, I realized that it's a lot more clunky, but in a good way where it just feels a lot more engaging. It feels like an older car, but in a good way as well, and it handled so much better. The brakes felt so much better. It just overall, the drivetrain, the transmission, it all just felt really solid compared to the WRX. And so that's when I realized, I was like, this is a driver's car. This is the kind of car that I really enjoy, and I felt like this is a car that I felt like it was justified, that extra price tag that the STIs had at the time. And so with that being said, it was a no-brainer, and then I pulled the trigger and I bought the car. And so with that being said, not the white car, but that's kind of what ended up making my decision to get an STI. Let's circle back, okay? So now it's June in 2020. It's about, I think my birthday just passed, and I really wanted to treat myself with a car. At the time I was working, I think I had like 3 years of experience in my field. I had just gotten a pay raise. I was like, you know what, let me treat myself. And so that's when I decided, you know what, let me go and start looking at dealerships. And I was young, I was 22 years old at the time, or about to be. I think I had just turned 22, about to be 22, and I just really wanted to go and get a car. And so I went with my dad, because at the time I was like a little scared of dealerships, a little scared of negotiating. But now, you know, I understand a lot more, and I learned a lot during that experience that I didn't know now. So now I feel like I'm more, you know, I'm able to do that on my own now. But at the time I was like, you know, let me just go with my dad. I don't really know what I'm doing. And so then we went, and he convinced me to go to like 4 dealerships, and they were all in LA. And at the time I was living in Palmdale, so I was like, why are we driving all the way to LA when we have dealerships in Palmdale, you know, and they have a lot of inventory. I went the day before just because I was super excited, and then I ended up going to LA anyways. The dealerships out there were all kind of rude. They were all they didn't take me very serious. I mean, looking at it now, looking at other 22-year-olds, I'm sure I look ridiculously young at the time. And so I could see why maybe they thought that I wasn't really going to actually walk out with a car. But I was very serious, and I really wanted one. I had all of the things in line. I had a good down payment, good credit, whatever, you know. And so once they kind of all just gave me the cold shoulder, too young, then I ended up going back to Palmdale and Lancaster Subaru. And then that's when I met this salesman. His name is Brandon Dragon. Very memorable name, and so obviously I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life, because he's the one that sold me this STI. And at the time I really wanted a Road Rally Blue. Gray was my second choice, but I'm really happy I went with the gray, just because I feel like the gray, now that I have it, now that I'm own it, and now that I know the community more, I realize that the dark gray is definitely a lot more rare. I feel like you don't really see those as much, and when you see them, I feel like it's a nice color. Like, it's not black, it's not silver, it's just right in the middle. I feel like a lot of wheels contrast really well with it, and so I'm really happy I ended up going with the gray. At the time I was like, if I'm gonna really buy into Subaru, I'm gonna go with everything that's Subaru. I'm gonna go with a blue car, go with gold wheels, you know, all the bells and whistles. But I ended up just getting this gray one, and so I found it at the Subaru in Lancaster, and then that's when I you know, walked out with the car pretty much. And that's how I ended up with the STI. And when I drove it first, I realized that it felt a little heavy, and it felt a little like the power of the weight was a little off. I felt like it felt a little underpowered, but I knew what I was gonna end up going to do with it. And now that where I have it now, I feel like it's just, you know, it's just a whole night and day difference of a car. But that's kind of how I ended up with the STI, and that's what really kind of helped me make my decision. And I think it's funny that, you know, I ended up blowing up that motor for my own negligence, and ended up getting into a platform where you had to do so much research in order to even start building the car. And so I felt like it was a nice learning curve, and I feel like now if I had that Fiesta again, I would never blow that motor. But at the time I blew it, and so that's how I ended up here. But I'm happy I ended up here, and I'm happy that I picked this car, because honestly this was like the change that I feel like I never really saw coming. I think at the time, especially when it came to like social media and all these other things, I was posting a lot of different things, but nothing really clicked. I didn't really have like I would say like a set focus. But then once I got the STI and the WRX and kind of getting brought into Subaru community, I realized like that's my focus, and that's when I really got focused in on car content, and that's when I ended up really growing. And I think, and it all kind of started with this car. So this is what I would, this is my baby, and I will never get rid of this car no matter what. But I just want to show you guys a little bit more. The sunset's looking really nice right now. But yeah, here she is in all her glory. She did not come like that, but you know, she looks like that now. And in case you guys were wondering, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys know, but it's the VIS hood that I have. I think I forgot to mention that during the parts list, and I am running a Cobb catted downpipe and a Cobb catback exhaust. And I run the Cobb exhaust not because I really like how it sounds. I just wanted something that was more tame and more quiet, and so that's kind of what made me make that decision for running that exhaust. But with that being said, I'm gonna kind of leave you guys there. This one's a little bit shorter. I feel like it's not, I think kind of the story of it all, it felt a little bit longer in my head, but it ended up being a little bit shorter, which is not bad. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I really appreciate all the support that you guys are giving me. And tell me your guys' story. Tell me how you guys ended up getting your WRX or STI, or if you guys are planning on getting one, tell me what's kind of helping you guys make that decision, because I feel like there's a lot of things that go into buying a car, and I feel like everybody has a cool story that really helped them, you know, really zone in on that decision. So anyways, with that being said, peace.